All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the very first inaugural episode of Chaos Theory, which is something that I'm hoping that we continue for years to come. We'll see how it goes, and then we'll take it from there.
Definitely.
I'm your host, the one and only Refly King, K1 Berserker, Cosmic Methods, Burst Kinetics, and the names go on and on.
And we keep it going, man.
Yeah, Kenneth, Chaos Villalobos. Right next to me is my partner in crime, my co-captain, my co-capitan, Ivan. If you want to introduce yourself, brother.
Yeah. Hi, guys. My name's Ivan, and I go by Kinetic. You guys might know me online on PSN, but we will reveal that later for the peeps that already know me. It's great to have you guys with us, and yeah, let's just get this started, man.
Alrighty. So the whole purpose of this thing is just to kind of give you guys something different. With the whole pandemic going on, we've had a kind of a resurgence of the Marvel 2 scene. We've made the transition to more online events, streaming. A lot of people have picked up the pace, picked up the slack with streaming content and things like that. So this is just our way of kind of contributing to the community.
Absolutely.
And giving you guys something different, which is talking more about the backstory of certain things, topics involving Marvel 2. And I wanted to give you guys a backstory on myself and kind of give you the history of where I came up and how things got started for me. So we're going to start. There's a lot to cover, so I hope you guys can bear with me.
Yeah, we definitely have a lot of material to go through. But yeah, this is going to give us just a good personal flavor on Ken's backstory and just give us better insight into how the game progressed and, for us individually. Obviously, this game means a lot to us, so yeah, hopefully we can answer a few questions and maybe even inspire new blood.
That's kind of the plan. Yeah. All right, so to kind of kick things off, guys, I started the game back in 2005, and hopefully this kind of fills in the blanks on where I came from and all that. When I graduated high school in 2005, I didn't really have a sense of direction. I didn't even. I was kind of struggling to find my identity at the time.
Yeah.
Leaving high school.
Actually.
Yeah. Leaving high school, I didn't really have cliques. Didn't have a large group of friends. I wasn't into the party scene, drinking and all that. I was kind of confused on where I was going to take my career. I didn't even have an idea of what I was doing career-wise. Marvel 2 was a game that I was introduced to by a friend of mine in high school, and we played on the PlayStation 2 version. And if you guys are familiar with ports,
yeah, it's one of the worst.
It's one of the worst ones as far as sound, as far as in-game mechanics. It's terrible all around. Yep. But that's all I had. I used the PS2 controller, so I was using the one-button dash at one point.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Shout out to the one-button dash.
Yeah, your boy was using one-button dash. This game was one of it was a venue for me to be able to escape. I was going through, as I mentioned, kind of an identity crisis. I didn't know who I was as a person. I didn't know what I wanted to do. As far as at home, there was tension with me and my family, my parents. My parents were kind of on me on what I was going to do with my life. The relationship that I had with my siblings wasn't great either. I'm the middle child. I have an older brother, younger sister. Relationship wasn't that great, a lot of tension. So this was a way for me to escape and kind of
press an outlet for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Playing at home on the PS2 was all I had. Aside from that, there was a local arcade at the Montebello Mall called Arcade World, and that was I was pretty much a mall rat. I was there a lot. I was playing Marvel 2, and it wasn't cheap. Back then, it was 50 cents.
Yeah,
50 cents per play, so I had to make each match count.
Really count. Yeah.
My first team that I used was Jill, Spider-Man, Akuma.
That's so funny. I actually ended up using Jill Storm Psylocke, so JSP.
Oh gosh.
At the time, but yeah, Jill was just an easy character for I think a lot of us to kind of pick up.
Yeah, definitely. And we're talking about bare bones. Back then, I didn't know how to do anything fancy. It was just Magic Series.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not hard knockdown, and that was it.
Yeah.
I had different experiences with random players at the arcade. Everything with this game, I feel, was everything that happened. Me leveling up, me meeting the people that I did. It was all random, by chance. This game became so addictive. For those of you that
Crack.
the crack, that's why it's called the crack, because you just can't get enough. When you start messing with the game and you start learning how to do things, learning how to add additional inputs to your movement, to your combos,
Breaking the rules.
yeah,
Breaking the rules of the engine, actually.
you just go down this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And that's what I was doing as an 18-year-old. I was obsessed. I was obsessed with this game, and it got to the point, Ivan, where I was doing things intentionally to get more Marvel 2 time in. If I had a girlfriend at the time, things weren't that great.
Yeah, can you like speak on that? You know, like to what extent you were doing this?
Well, you know, my girlfriend at the time, she wanted to go out, she wanted to do things, and I would tell her, hey, you know what? Something came up. I got a rain check. I have an emergency. Like, I would just make up excuses and hit the arcade. Hit the arcade, and it's time to get that crack in. You know what I mean?
Dedication, fellas.
Yeah. It was so bad. It was so bad that I was not only skipping out on dates, but I would skip out on work. Sometimes I'd call in sick, and I'd say, hey, I can't make it. Something came up, car broke down, something, and I'd get that Marvel 2 in. It was, at the time, I think it was very unhealthy. If you look at it from a real life standpoint, because my priorities were out of whack, I guess you could say.
Yeah. I mean, you basically had it completely backwards. At that
Oh
point.
man, it was so bad. So not only that, but I was losing sleep, staying up late, training mode. It was, to say that it was an addiction is to put it very lightly.
Yeah, this is very much what you would be describing as an addiction.
Oh, dude,
but this is a severe addiction.
Severe, yeah.
With some severe withdrawals too.
Yeah, definitely. And when I would go to work, when I'd be out with my family, with my friends, with my girlfriend, it was still on my mind. I was thinking, oh my goodness, I wonder if this combo works, or I wonder if this would work in training mode or in a match or something like that. And
you start running all these scenarios in your mind.
Oh
too.
man,
I do this. It's funny enough. I actually do the same thing. There'll be times like when before I'm falling asleep, you know, kind of your mind just kind of wanders around, and Marvel will come up, and I'll be thinking about scenarios and specific instances of how I would deal with these kinds of situations in Marvel, like Marvel 2, and especially what kind of punishes would be optimal at this, you know, point in time. So kind of breaking down the game in your mind. It's funny, like you can actually replay a lot of the matches right in your head, and you're like thinking about these endless possibilities, and like you said, you just go down a rabbit hole.
Oh man, it's so bad.
Yeah.
So bad, brother. I think 05, 06 was probably the worst time in terms of priorities of putting the game first before anything else. Family, friends, my relationships. It was really bad. This game had taken over my entire life because I felt that it was the only good thing in my life at the time. Yeah. And that's being serious. I wasn't happy with myself, with who I was. Wasn't happy with the things that I had accomplished or had failed to accomplish. This was the only thing that I felt was a real passion of mine to pursue.
Right. And
it still plays an impact. It still makes an impact on me to this day. But that was 2005. 2006 was a little different. This is where this was the first revolutionary moment for me in terms of the game. Mm-hmm. A buddy of mine, Carlos, who you guys may know as Infrit in the Marvel 3 community, him and I were friends, and we also spent a lot of time at the Montebello Mall together. We'd hang out, we'd run games. Eventually, he got a job there at Arcade World, and we were there due to mall rats. We'd be there from open to close, and we would just be grinding, man, hanging out, talking about Marvel and other things and all that. It was by chance that a player named Dominic came into the arcade one day. Yeah. In the community, you guys may know him as Speed Racer.
Speed Racer, yep.
And he was the first person that used, high tier characters on me, and he played Cable Sentinel Commando on me, also known as Team Scrub.
Yeah.
And at the time,
I hate that team, by the way.
yeah, don't we all? You have to remember the characters that I was using. I was using Jill, Strider, Spider-Man, Akuma, and I was just getting annihilated by this guy.
Like low health characters.
Mind you, I'm trying to hit him with basic day one combos, and he's hitting me with Air Hyper Viper Beam and Hyper Sentinel. He's just destroying my team.
Yeah.
And at the time, I'm thinking, wow, this guy must be the best in the world. And he was a cool guy. We ended up chopping it up a little bit. We talked, and he introduced me to a whole new world that I didn't even know was possible. The world of local arcades.
Yeah.
And each arcade having its own level of competition, and people just like me that were invested in the game at such a level of commitment.
Right.
And
you had finally found people that had that same passion and desire to be better, like you.
Right.
Yeah, so.
And the word that I kept putting in my mind was community. This was a community of people like me that wanted to better themselves in the game.
Yeah.
And by the time him and I got comfortable with each other, I was already using Magnetostorm Doom. That was my new team.
Oh, okay.
And I was using
Michelle.
Yeah, and I was using Doom with the photon assist.
Oh wow. The pink lasers?
The pink lasers, and the only reason why was because I didn't know how to fight against Sentinel. So Sentinel takes flight mode, and I would hit that assist.
It would catch him out of the air.
And it would catch him out of the air,
Yeah.
but...
Hello, free unfly.
Yeah, exactly. But no conversion, obviously, but that was
Right.
the only answer that I had. So going from low tier to MS Doom was a transition on its own. I took a character out like Spider-Man, and I put in Magneto. So I was using Jill, Strider, and then I would save Magneto for last. I had no assist game, nothing. I didn't know what I was doing.
Wow.
And then I took out Jill and I put in Storm. And then I took Strider out and I put in Doom. So I got there eventually through trial and error. Okay, I think this team is a good fit. Things changed for me when Dominic introduced me to James Games in Upland, California. They recently closed their doors last year. But at the time, yeah, shout outs to James Games. This is the place where it was my old stomping grounds, and I met a lot of people there, a lot of characters, and I was able to level up through playing these guys. This was what I call a rude awakening. This is a rude awakening of real competition for me. Have you ever been there? Have you been to it?
No, but I had heard. Isn't this where Gutex was playing Third Strike at the time?
I'm not sure. They did have a very heavy Street Fighter 3 Third Strike community, but I'm not sure if he was there. But either way, when I got there, I realized that I was leagues below everybody else in terms of competition.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about back when you had guys there every Friday night, every Saturday night, from 7 p.m. to 3 in the morning, closing time.
Wow.
We're talking about practically a full shift at work.
A work shift.
A work shift,
40-hour shift.
At that arcade.
Yeah.
And we're talking about names like Mike Ross, back when Mike Ross was playing. Mike Chaos. Shout out to Mike Chaos. Achilles. Rubillionaire. Reset. Reset was he was a problem. Ace. Just a bunch of killers there, man. Every Friday night, every Saturday night. And I was getting mauled. I was getting destroyed by everybody.
Wow.
My biggest problem, Ivan, was that I didn't know how to play against Sentinel. I thought that...
Ironically enough, huh?
Oh, man. I thought this character is the absolute worst. What a scrubby character. What... Man, you really need Sentinel on your team to win, huh?
Yeah.
You cheater. It was...
Out prioritizing me, out normals, like...
Oh, how dare you fly back and stay away from... Yeah. It was terrible, brother. But... you have to take your L's. In this game, for everybody who's listening, and if you're new to the community, if you're new to the game, you're going to have to take some L's.
Yeah.
Some losses if you want to level up.
Yes, absolutely. You're going to have to develop a thick skin because you are going to take, inevitably, a lot of L's before you get better. And I think a lot of it has to do, too, with the skill ceiling in this game, it's just ridiculous. It's one of the reasons why I absolutely love this game. You can spend a lot of hours honing your craft, but then you'll meet someone else that just is that much better, and you start realizing, like, man, how much more do I actually have to put in to get this good?
Oh boy,
And
I
it's
get
just like,
goosebumps. I get
yeah,
goosebumps just
man,
by
like,
hearing you say that.
yeah, like you can just, the sky's the limit. You can just keep pushing and pushing until, you know, we've seen obviously Magnetro's videos and what's possible. Hopefully being able to push that, like, as a human player. I mean, I've seen you incorporate a lot of that tech into your game, Ken. It's very admirable too, because a lot of these ideas originally were like, we didn't think they were possible to replicate in a match, right? So yeah, this game just gives. The more you give, the more it gives, rewards you. So for the young players that are coming, definitely just remember to stick with it. And one of the biggest things is learn from your mistakes. You know, seek out input. Definitely ask other players if you're curious about something. Just ask and be curious and be willing to, you know, put in the time. So
Absolutely. Around this time, we're talking late 2006 now. It's late 2006, and I've been picking up things here and there. I have some combos down. I know more familiar with movement in terms of Magneto and Storm.
Yeah.
I'm getting better, but not where I want to be. Dominic at this time introduces me to the world of aliases and the world of personas behind the person, behind the player, and how each person, each big player, I should say, has a nickname for themselves or an alias.
Yep.
And at the time I thought, well, I don't know what I would call myself. My mind is blank. And he suggested the Khaos nickname, saying that my style was very overwhelming, all over the place, unorthodox, unorganized at times, very chaotic.
Yeah.
And it hit me. And
Boom.
lo and behold, Khaos was born.
He created a monster.
I guess he did, yeah. The one other highlight from 2006 was my very first encounter with Chris Vasquez, aka Magnus. Magnus will forever be my very first mentor for the game. The guy would come in mysterious. He would just destroy us with low-tier characters, and then he would just bounce. As mysterious as he showed up, he left just the same. And I would see him every so often, and every time I would see him, I would say, "Oh, damn! There goes my win streak," or "Oh man, I'm gonna have to spend some money today because this guy is just way too good." And he was.
Sense of dread that would just kind of come over you.
This guy would do so much damage with whatever character he picked.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I didn't know any better, but at the time, I thought this guy was the pinnacle of the game. We'll get more into Magnus as we continue, but now we're in 2007. Okay. Sentinel is still not in my arsenal yet. I'm still thinking, nope, I'm not going to pick the character. I'm not going to give in.
You have like this personal vendetta.
Yeah, I can't do it. I cannot do it. At this time, MSP is my team now. Magnetostorm Psylocke.
Why MSP?
I'm convinced that the offensive approach is the only way that I can play. I can't zone. I can't play you in a lame way. I can't keep away from you. I need to be in your face. I need to overwhelm you. I need to pin you down and just take care of business and on to the next match. That was my whole game plan at the time. As far as outside of the mall, which I was hanging out, I didn't really have a lot of resources to play the game at home. I had the PS2 version, which was terrible. And I had the Street Fighter Anniversary stick, which if you guys are familiar with, I was using a stock Street Fighter Anniversary stick. And those buttons are like whack-a-mole buttons, man. They're so high. Mind you, the noise that they make when you and
Yeah,
you slam them.
absolutely. I used to have that stick, and it was absolutely awful.
Yeah, I had my dad knocking on the door. Hey, you need to keep it down and all this and that, and it's just you can't play comfortably.
This is before the advent of like silent Sanwa buttons.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Nowadays you can buy silent buttons to muffle the noise, and that way your roommates or whoever's with you can sleep peacefully at night while
My
you're.
family used to hate when I would play.
Yeah,
Like,
same
"Down,
here.
we're trying to sleep, and we would be cracking it out until like the middle of the night.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. Yeah, and even then that's not enough.
Yeah.
So MSP is my team. I'm still going to James games every Friday night, every Saturday night. Once again, my friends want to hang out. My girlfriend wants to do something. I'm like, whatever you want to do, it's got to be during the week. It's got to be on Sunday because Friday and Saturday is for Marvel. That's it. You know what? In retrospect, for somebody who isn't familiar with our world and the way it works and our passion for the game, I don't think a lot of people would have the patience for a relationship like that. I don't know. I don't know how you feel about that.
I think you're right. I've seen it. Over the years, a lot of people that have gotten into the game, they eventually kind of just burn out and fall off. I think it's just again attributed to this game is not easy. It's especially at the higher levels, like it gets really brutal. So again, having to be able to take your L's when you need to, and like really learn. A lot of people just don't have the patience to do it.
Yeah.
I even see it in the comments all the time, and it actually pisses me off quite a bit. People talking about like, oh, I keep picking the same 3 characters. You're so boring. This gets repetitive and yada yada. I'm like, but those people don't understand. Like, you can have 2 players pick the same team, and yet they can play it in vastly different ways. The style is completely different. And that's the thing about this game, is that it allows you to express yourself in a way that no other game, or in my opinion, has really come close to. You can really impose your will on this.
Yeah.
People, you can see them break. Like,
it's funny. It's funny that you mentioned the skill gap.
Yeah.
Around this time, and it's still 2007. Around this time, Dominic is still introducing me to different aspects of the game, including the community outside of our local area. This is the first time that I learn about players like Justin Wong, like Sanford, all of these different Sue Mighty, all these different names that were already placing high in tournaments. And I'm learning about Evolution, the tournament in Las Vegas.
Yep.
It's a whole different world for me, and I'm thinking, man, you know what? I'm struggling with competition in my local arcade.
Yeah.
And I remember driving home one day thinking, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to compete with players of this caliber if I'm struggling to beat Dominic?
Yeah.
I'm struggling to beat. I can't even beat this guy.
Yeah.
And he doesn't place in tournaments. He doesn't. He hasn't won Evolution or anything like that. I'm just comparing skill. I'm thinking power levels, like Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
I just don't. So the only solution I had was I got to keep going. I have to keep going. It was also near the end of the year where I also met Ray for the first time, who you guys may know as Spartan.
Shout-outs to Ray.
Shout-outs to Ray, man. That's the brother right there.
The homie right there.
Yeah. It was around this time that Ray was still very heavy into the game. This was right before he took a hiatus due to personal reasons. I met him, ran some games with him, and I got destroyed. Ray already knew how to do Sentinel, Fast Fly, and Unfly combos, and they just blew me away.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah.
It just blew me away. I just couldn't understand how good you could be with the robot, and he was the first person to show me that. What a lot of people didn't know is that during this year, even though I was so against the character Sentinel, a lot of people didn't know that I spent the whole year of 2007 in training mode using Sentinel.
So just out of curiosity, what ended up turning that gear in your head for? Because obviously up until this point you were completely against the character, right? You're like, I'm never gonna pick this.
Yeah, exactly.
And now you're starting to kind of maybe you're reconsidering. So what caused the change there?
I had to learn the character in order to learn how to defeat it.
Yeah.
So I put myself in the cockpit and um, tried to learn how to do basic combos. I still didn't know about the advanced tactics like unblockable lasers or unfly or anything like that.
Yeah.
I was just practicing the basics and movement and stuff like that. And eventually I did incorporate the unfly movement and fast fly, but I didn't want to use him in actual matches.
Interesting.
If you're at an arcade and you're putting up 50 cents every round,
Oh, yeah.
I didn't want to be throwing away my
money, basically.
throwing away my money picking a character that wasn't ready to be debuted.
Yeah.
With top caliber competition.
Still in prototype.
Yeah, he was still in beta version in development. Yeah, coming
Yep.
soon.
Yep.
So by the time 2008 came around, it's time, brother. Sentinel is ready.
He is prime.
He's prime. Yeah, I felt he was ready to be debuted. I spent so much time in training mode that I had my setups ready to go.
Oh.
Unfly, fast fly. Magnus shows up one day and he introduces me to refly. And that blew my mind. I thought, when he came in one day, and I thought, okay, I'm going to show him some Sentinel stuff.
Yeah.
He hits me with a refly. And at the time, I didn't even know what it was. But I recognized what he did.
Right. And you're like,
And
oh
I
my
said,
God, is that possible?
I said, did you short? Did you hit me with a low kick? Unfly, and then you flew again and you hit me with a low kick again? And he said, yeah, it's called a refly. And my mind was just blown. I couldn't believe it. And I thought, I need that.
A whole nother
avenue. Yeah,
that
I
we haven't
thought,
seen.
I need that. And it was a feeling that I had experienced so much, so many times over.
Yeah.
Of
It's almost euphoric.
Yeah, of
honestly.
finding something out. Oh my goodness. Let me see what I can do with this.
Yeah.
And my play style at this point, in terms of not just Sentinel, but with Magnetostorm, was I spent so much time in training mode that I had so many combos. It was just combos. The only thing that I was lacking were fundamentals.
Fundamentals, yes.
Because you can learn as a player, and for everybody who's barely picking up the game or whatnot, you can have as many combos as you want, but if you can't land them in a match because your opponent keeps you away or neutralizes your offense, they do you no good.
Yeah. Funny enough, that's one of the things that I had learned as I was playing the game. I was like, wow, I practice all these combos, but I can't seem to land it on anybody. Like, I can't even open someone up in order for me to even use them.
Absolutely.
So that's when I kind of changed my mindset of like, okay, I need to figure out this neutral and figure out how to open somebody up and what kind of adaptations I need to make in order to do this.
Absolutely. And you might have that, and that's why you have players like Neo or somebody like Wes, blockable laser, who will beat you with just fundamentals alone. They don't need fancy combos. They don't need flash. It's just flowchart, straight up fundamental play.
Yes.
So you can take one of the two routes, and then eventually you're gonna meet in the middle.
Yeah.
You can go the combo video route, and then your fundamentals will catch up to you eventually through the matches, or you can just stick to fundamentals, and then you'll learn your combos as you go.
Right.
And then eventually the two rivers are gonna merge, and then you're ready to just move forward.
Yeah, that's when you're ready to kind of incorporate resets and be a little bit more fancy.
Absolutely,
Right?
absolutely.
So.
Anywho, so 2008, as I mentioned, I had my combos down, no fundamentals. I experienced my first tournament setting, which was at East LA College, ELAC. They had a local tournament. I enter, and I win.
You win.
I won,
Wow.
yeah. I won my tournament against Edgar Cruz, a.k.a. Smooth Assassin from San Diego. And this was the very first time that I had a tournament. I didn't know about the double elimination setting. So I met Smooth Assassin in winners finals. So for those of you that are listening, you have your regular bracket, you have your semifinals, your winners finals, and then you have losers finals for the double elimination. And then the winner of that meets the winner in grand finals.
Yes.
So Edgar and I played winners finals, and I beat him barely, I might add.
What was he using and what were you using?
I was using MSS drones at this point.
Okay, so you were on MSS.
MSS drones, yeah.
Okay.
And he picked Blackheart Sentinel Commando, I believe.
One of the teams that I hate the most.
Yeah.
As well, I think Team Watts.
And the funny thing was, I beat him. I'm sure it was 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
I beat him. I get up, and I pump my fist into the air, and I'm like, yeah. Yes, and I reach over and I offer my hand to Edgar. And I'm like, hey, good games, bro. Thanks for the opportunity. Like, I'm just pumped up, and he's just looking at me like I'm stupid. And he's like, we have another match after this. Like, it's not over yet. And I'm like, oh.
It ain't over till it's over.
So I had to sit back down and wait for losers finals, and then I met him again in grand finals, and this time I beat him again.
Did you do it again?
I did it again, and then this time I was like, all right, are we good this time? And he said, yeah. Salty as fuck, but whatever. That was my first tournament win. I felt like I was on top of the world.
Yeah. That must have been extremely gratifying with especially all the work that you had put in.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Up to that point. You know?
Definitely, man. Dominic introduces me again to SRK, which, for those of you who don't know, it was shoryuken.com.
Yes.
A website that had forums dedicated to fighting games. You could go and look up information on your favorite fighting game. There was community boards.
There was specific matchup information that people would post. A lot of breakdown videos. I remember there was like a video section too, where the people would upload here and there.
Very informative. The Wikipedia of fighting games.
Yeah.
And it was very helpful for a player like me who went in and found another avenue to kind of put myself out there.
And connect with other players from all across the country now.
Absolutely, yeah. So at this time, bro, just to kind of put a timestamp on where we are, at this time I'm using MSS drones. So now my Sentinel is ready. He's ready for action. And I'm doing things in match that a lot of people haven't seen before. Well, at least locally, at least.
Yeah.
And I feel I'm getting this sense of, you know what, maybe the skill gap isn't so wide. Maybe these guys in the East Coast, in the Midwest, maybe they're not so much above me. Maybe
so far away.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm talking about like Sanford, Justin Wong.
Yeah.
I said these are the guys to beat. I don't know if I'm there yet, but I also don't think I'm too far away from them.
Right.
Remember, this is 2008. I'm already like, I still don't have a clear sense of where I'm at, but I feel like I'm getting there.
Yeah.
At this point, I meet Mike Khaos and Dark Prince. Oh, yes.
The infamous interview.
Oh, yes. If you guys are OGs or even 09ers, you guys are very familiar with Mike Khaos and Dark Prince. Two guys, former best friends, would go to James games, and they were elite competition for me. They knew the ins and outs of the game. They had a lot of runaway, keep away teams. They had good offense as well.
Yeah.
Good training partners. These guys were a couple of guys that I affiliated with near the end of 2008, and we were ready to kind of make a statement, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
It was
you guys definitely. I mean, that video has long been.
Before we get into that, okay? Before we get into that, remember, at this time, I've only been going to James games. Dominic, one of his last favors, I guess, that he did for me was he introduced me to Regency Fun Center in Lakewood. And when I got to Regency, it was like apples and oranges in terms of the community that was there. When I got to James games, everybody was kind of to themselves.
Yeah.
But they were cordial. You know, if you talk to somebody, they would acknowledge you, whatever the case is.
Right. You
could have a conversation. When I got to Regency and I played these guys, guys like Dexterous, Regency Ricky, Regency Rob, Wes, Blockable Laser.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys, they already had their close-knit cliques, so they weren't really open to outsiders.
Yeah.
Or it kind of felt that way for me.
Definitely.
For me, at least, definitely. I tried to make conversation or something. I didn't really get much of a response.
Right.
And they made it very clear from the get-go that I wasn't I wasn't welcome.
You wasn't welcome there. Yep.
I guess if that's what the intention was,
Sure, put it out there.
It may not have been that, but that's what I felt,
Yeah.
and I wasn't really welcome with open arms. But whatever, that was that. When I started talking to Dark Prince and Mike Chaos about it, and I let them know, hey, this isn't, I don't understand why they're not very receptive, I guess. But they took that, or at least Dark Prince did. He saw an opportunity to take that anger that I had, that bitterness that I had, and turn it into something that could be used to create hype within the community.
Yeah.
So that's when the infamous Chaos interview took off. So 19-year-old, 20-year-old me with, all buzzed up on Everclear and who knows what else, got on the microphone, and I just ripped into this arcade, man, to Regency.
You did.
And I let him know how I felt, man. As a young guy, I couldn't separate the person from the alias.
Yeah.
If you're in the fighting game community nowadays and you have an alias, a lot of times these guys are playing a character.
Yes,
it could be somebody that's completely different from your own persona that the person that you are outside of the game, or it could be your persona but just turned up to 10, kind of like pro wrestling.
Yeah.
I'm a big pro wrestling fan.
Yeah,
so,
no, same here.
Yeah. So, but the only problem was that I didn't know how to separate that. So I thought these guys didn't want to talk Marvel with me, so I thought, oh, they must have a problem with me on a personal level.
Yeah.
So when I got on this video, I hit them with personal insults.
Yeah.
I hit them with personal jabs, and they weren't just jabs, but I dropped a lot of bombs on them.
Yeah.
That had nothing to do with the game. It was just my bitterness and my anger just kind of flowing out. You know what I mean?
Yes, it was definitely.
I regret the video, and I've made everybody who I offended in that video, I've made peace with. A lot of these guys are actually good friends of mine nowadays. Wes was the one that got hit the hardest in that video.
Oh yeah, I was about to mention it.
Yeah.
Do you want me to?
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
Yeah. So Ken ends up, mentioning somebody goes by Wes Blockbull. Is it? Oh no, Cockbull Laser. So that was one of the big bombs that he had thrown down, and I'm not sure if is this video still up on YouTube by any chance, or do you know? I haven't checked actually.
I think it got taken down.
It did got taken down?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, Ken was just ripping everybody a new one there, and he mentions a pretty infamous line at that point. He says, "If you don't know me, you will." And yeah, I mean those words have still rung true.
I did say that. Yeah. This is chaos. If you don't know who I am, you will. You will. Trust me.
Yeah.
I did say that. It was very ominous.
Yes, you were.
Very ominous. But you know what? The main problem that these guys had was that I was very pumped up about the game, and my enthusiasm would show when I'd be at the arcade, and I would get hype, and a lot of people were just, they weren't with that, which is fine, but
it's so funny, how that works. Like for a game that they obviously all loved, and you were very enthusiastic about it, you were passionate about it, and then I guess it's considered uncool to like show any kind of emotion like this. I was like, oh no, I want to keep my my macho.
I guess so, man. And I understand nowadays if you don't want to be around certain types of energy.
Right.
If we want to practice and you're a guy that I personally don't like or something like that, I'm not going to want to sit down and even if you're a good player, I'm not going to want to sit down and play you because the energy just doesn't match.
Yeah.
I understand that. I get that. Yeah.
Have you ever felt like that?
I have, yeah. Absolutely. There are a lot of players. Dude, there's a lot of people in this community that are very, I don't like to say two-faced, but there are a lot of players that will hit you with a false approach that they intend to be genuine to get you to sit down. Hey, you know what? Let's run some games because they're trying to get something out of you.
Yeah.
A lot of people will want to play me because they want to test themselves, and that's fine. But if you're one way with me in person, and then you're another way behind my back, you're just, and I find out about it. I just don't want to. Yeah, I just don't want to deal with you.
Fly. Yeah.
It doesn't. So with these guys, going back to Regency, and mind you, the competition was killer. These guys had a plethora of players that had very high skill sets.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot, and I was able to get a lot of techniques from the players there. Guys like Rob and Wes himself. I picked up a lot of things from them. So shout outs to those guys. And the competition, their style was different from the players from James Games. Mind you, we weren't that far apart, but James Games had a lot of players that focused more on the runaway style.
So they were playing more of a lane game.
Yeah, and at Regency, you had more Magneto-based players.
Interesting.
A lot more MSPs, a lot more MSS players. And so being able to expose myself to both scenes, both arcades, helped me as a player to kind of fuse those techniques together.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate enough. Mind you, in my personal life, okay, now with 2 arcades, what do I have to do?
Oh, yeah. I mean, considering you were dealing with quite a bit with just one arcade.
Exactly.
How did you...
Exactly. So now, for my girlfriend or whoever, now I got to say, or my family, if something's going on in an event, I had to try to find a way to skip out of it. Regency popped off on Wednesday nights. So Wednesday night, don't talk to me. We're not going out. I'm not doing anything. Wednesday night's for Regency, and Friday night is still for James Games. So now I have another day of the week where I'm booked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Talk about priorities. Anyway, going back to the interview. So I hit these guys hard, and I remember I gave it about a week. To kind of simmer down and settle with the community.
Yeah.
And SRK, the forums, they were blowing up. They were blowing up saying that, who is this guy? Like, who is this guy? This Chaos guy? Who is he? And I had nothing on YouTube on me, except for maybe like 2 videos or 3 that Carlos had put up on his YouTube.
Yeah.
And other than that, no match videos, nothing. Nobody knew who I was. They just knew that I was trying to kind of put myself out there.
Yeah. You're trying to put a stamp on.
Exactly. So I insulted a lot of people. One of them was Bill Wellman. Another guy who didn't really like that I was trying to force my way into the talks of top level players, I guess you could say. Yeah.
Here in the West. Yeah.
And I never wanted to be that guy that said, hey, I can beat this guy, I can beat that guy. I was looking for some kind of recognition. Oh, he's pretty good. That's all I needed. And I never got it. And
some sort of like validation.
Yeah. I was a person that was putting in how many hours during the week? So many freaking hours, man.
Yeah.
So many hours, so much time. And I was not getting recognized for it. And if you do that with anything else, it's bound to do something for you, even if it is a passion.
Yeah.
You want to be an artist. You want to record music. You want to do something. I don't know. And you get to that upper echelon where you get people that see it and they're like, nah, he's not that good. Or,
right.
Nah, you kind of suck at that.
People are usually very quick to discredit.
It's an ego thing, man.
Yeah,
and I'm a very competitive person.
Yeah.
So 2009 was the year where I just made a lot of enemies, bro. I made a lot of enemies. But at this point, I had shifted to, you know what? I don't care. Because now the number one person at each of your arcades is going to be me. That was my mindset.
Yeah.
That was
regardless of whether
whether you like me or not.
Yeah.
And when I showed up to Regency the following week after this interview was put out, it was very awkward, man. It was very awkward. And the first person that I played on the cabinet was Wes.
Oh
and
my goodness.
And I remember I beat him. And then everybody was just quiet. Like I could hear some like whispering in the background and whatnot.
Yeah.
But when I finally hopped off the cabinet, one of the guys approached me. His name is Jason. He goes by Short Term. And he asked me. He said, "Hey man, what's up with that interview that you put out?" And I said, "Oh, I'm trying to get so and so to Money Match." And he said, "Yeah, but on there you weren't really talking about money, you were throwing some personal shade in there.
Yeah.
And when he said that, it kind of lifted the veil for me, because I was speaking from the Khaos character, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that not everybody was going to take it that way, since I was being so personal with these insults. And I realized, you know what? That was a little much. Yeah. It was, yeah. I kind of overstepped my boundaries with that one.
Yeah. And mind you, Marvel 2 is known to be a very disrespectful game, but this is one.
Oh, absolutely.
Why I love it. I think no other game in the fighting game community even comes close to, in terms of like rawness that Marvel 2 brings.
For sure.
Like, when we have something to say, we're gonna say it.
We're gonna say it.
And whether or not you like it or not, it's gonna be out there. Our shit talking, you know, all the trash talk that happens, it just adds to the hype. And there is no other game that brings that kind of energy. You can name any other game in the FGC, it doesn't come close. I'm sorry, guys. For the people that are unaware of that, the sooner you acknowledge that, the better. But yeah, Marvel 2 just brings an energy that is unmatched.
And you know, to add to that, not just insulting the people, the trash talk outside of the game.
Yeah. But
you can insult someone during the game without speaking a word.
Yes.
And for me, there's something, just so you guys know, there's something that irks the hell out of me during matches, and that's when I get hit with my own moves. Yeah. I don't know why. Even if it's something, okay, I'm not going to say that I have a setup or something, and I'm not going to say that I invented it, but if I'm the player that uses that setup often, and then someone makes it a point to hit that setup on me or something like that, it irks the hell out of me. Like, hey man, can you come up with your own moves, man? It just bugs the shit out of me, dude. Goodness, but
that's when you know that they've watched you quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then they end up labbing that specific setup.
Yeah.
And then trying to use it against you.
So 2009, Khaos was Chaotic 1. That was my SRK username. And I feel like I left Chaotic 1 in 2009. I was introduced to another arcade called Family Fun Arcade in Granada Hills.
That's actually that's the arcade that I went to first. But I was
really
a little kid. Yeah.
That's far.
Yeah. I don't know why my family decided to go there, but yeah, it was just like I was a little kid, but I remember just going to this arcade, and there was like a crowd of people around an arcade. I couldn't see because I was a little kid, and these were all adults at the time. So I looked, and I was just trying to find my way through the crowd, and I'm like looking up, and the very first thing I see is like Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and I'm watching Magneto do a Hypergrav Tempest combo mid-screen with all these shards coming out, and I'm like, what the heck? And then Dr. Doom doing his thing with his super. So I'm like, dude, this is incredible. Like, I'm watching the combo counter go through the roof, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
The fact that one day I want to be able to do something like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that kind of just was really inspiring to see.
Yeah. Family Fun Arcade for me was the mecca of competition for SoCal. I wasn't there obviously for the earlier days of Southern Hills Golfland, or any other, or Super Arcade in its heyday. But FFA for me, that was top level competition. You had players like Neo, Elan, Finesse. Finesse was the god of the cabinets at that arcade. Yeah, Finesse was really good. Actually. The only problem was that if you weren't used to the buttons, or used to the tension in the joystick, you were at a disadvantage, because all of the locals, they were already used to how to do things on there. And every arcade had a different stick setup that you had to get used to. So if you weren't used to it, you were at a disadvantage if you were playing against somebody who's been going there for years constantly.
Right.
Finesse was another person that I saw that increased the skill gap for me. I thought, oh man, just when I thought I knew it all, this guy would come in, and his movement, his positioning, his block strings, even his offense was on a whole other level. Yeah. So it opened up the door for me to play against other people and continue to increase my own skill set.
Yeah.
By the time 2009 was done, I had finally obtained the opportunity to money match against Wes, my original call out from the interview. And that day was a day where I thought I was going to quit the game because I was destroyed. We did a first to 10 wins money match for $200. And he destroyed me 10 games to 2. I only managed to beat him twice.
Wow.
And I thought for sure up until that point that I was untouchable. I thought nobody can stop me. Kenneth Villalobos was non-existent. It was just chaos all the time. Chaos, chaos, chaos. That's who I was.
Yeah.
It had consumed me.
Yeah.
I couldn't separate chaos from Kenneth Villalobos anymore. When I played him and I lost, I felt like I was, what am I doing? Where do I go from here after this? After so much hype and so much animosity, to lose in this fashion, can I bounce back from this? I didn't know.
These are character-defining losses.
Dude, it was... I remember as soon as he got that last win, everybody was cheering. It was a whole arcade on against me, basically.
Right.
And it hurt even more that people from other communities came out to see it. Magnus came out to watch. A bunch of OG players like Clockwork, they came out who would never really go, but they came out to witness it, and I lost.
Yeah.
So I had a few minutes where I was just, dude, I remember leaving the arcade, walking out to the sidewalk and just kind of walking by myself. And what changed for me that day was the fact that Wes came out to talk to me. A lot of people don't know that. He came out and he talked to me, and
oh wow,
he wasn't disrespectful. He didn't say anything that was condescending. He gave me some real advice and some feedback on the match and what went wrong.
What did he say?
Well, it's not always easy to hear about your mistakes,
right? But
he let me know he's like, there were times where you could have finished me, but you went for something that ended up costing you the match. And that was just me. That was just my style. I would always go for the fancy stuff. I would go for the unnecessary stuff. A lot of people think that I still do that to this day.
Yeah. It's like a common criticism that I've heard. But no.
But at the time, it was really bad. It was really bad, and he was right. Everything he was telling me was spot on, and it all boiled down to the lack of experience. He said it's just experience. But you just got to keep playing. And I had no words. I just told him, thank you, man. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Shout outs to Wes.
Shout outs to Wes, dude.
That's such a man.
And
to hear that, like, even after all the stuff that you had said about him, and all this animosity that was built up over this match, and for him to go out of his way, which he didn't even have to do, mind you. He didn't have to do this. He completely destroyed you, and yet he goes out of his way to go and speak to you and actually gives you really good advice.
He did, man.
Yeah, man. That's incredibly admirable, to be honest.
He did it, and I remember driving home, and I thought to myself, I don't know if I should keep going or not. And after that, I don't remember. I don't remember what happened. I don't know how long of a hiatus I took. It could have been a couple of weeks. It could have been a month.
Yeah.
But when I got back to the arcade, I went back to Regency. A lot of people thought that I wouldn't go to Regency anymore. And I could tell that there were still some people, even to this day, there might be some people that hold some kind of a grudge because of that. And I don't blame them. You know, I don't blame them for still being offended over what I said or what I did. And that's something that I've grown to accept. You know, you can't please everybody.
Right.
But I am grateful that somebody like Wes was able to, and he's a very introverted guy. for him to
Super nice, by the way.
super nice guy, yeah. But for him to open up and kind of talk to me about it after everything that I did and bury the hatchet, squash it,
Yeah.
it spoke volumes to me on how to be humble and how to approach things a little differently.
Yeah.
And I think Chaotic 1, Chaos 1.0, I think he died that day.
Yeah.
He died that day. And after that, I was a little bit more humble as a player.
Yeah.
After that, that was my first money match experience. Money matches became more of a staple after that, I think.
Yeah.
People started playing for money, saying, hey, you know what, let's make things a little bit more interesting. Let's put $5 on the line, $10. That kind of became the norm, I guess.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah. Just kind of started this whole era of like money matches now.
And that's all it is now, man. People are trying to get their gambling on and giving games and all that, and it's just turned into this whole freaking circus. But that's another topic.
Yeah, we can delve into that some other time. But yeah, I agree with you. It has turned into a circus in the sense where people want to play as if it's like, what, man, we're all grown adults too, and what, do you not have a job or something? Like, you really need this
you gotta
money?
be hustling.
You gotta be hustling every single minute of your day.
Yeah, that was Fnatic, bro. Fnatic at FFA, grimy son of a gun. But yeah, man. So after that whole experience, him and I buried the hatchet, and we were great friends, man, to this day.
Yeah.
We still hang out, we still talk and all that. So I'll always be grateful for him, and I let him know every time we grab a drink or something, I'll say, hey, man, you didn't have to do that. I always tell him, you didn't have to do that. I'm grateful. Thank you for extending that out to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I've met Wes a few times as well, and yeah, I can speak nothing but good things about
super
him.
great
Honestly,
guy, man.
super awesome guy.
Yeah.
Even when I've had matches with him, he's given me tips too on what I should work on and his insight on things, and it's great, because he has a whole lot of experience. So, just being able to talk with him and discuss strategies regarding the game is just. It's a blessing,
Absolutely.
And,
But putting myself out there like that, there were a lot of people, not just him, and in the beginning, of course.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of people that didn't want to see me succeed. Players like Bill Wellman, and Potter, they had some kind of they didn't really like me too much. Maybe it was the way that I was, my approach or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Fnatic from FFA was another guy that was always very condescending.
Yeah.
Very dirtbag approach to me.
Yeah.
Who else? Reset didn't like me too much either, and he always made it a point to beat me down, I guess, whenever he got the chance. Because these guys were still better than me. These guys still had a lot more experience and they had the combos to go with it too.
Yeah.
I only had the combos, but I lacked in-match experience.
Yeah.
So they made it a statement to kind of put me in my place whenever they could. In this game, I feel like the ranking system has taken a decline. A lot of people don't really care about ranks nowadays. But back then, you had to really cement yourself in terms of ranks. So these guys wanted to make sure you're beneath us in terms of ranks, and that's why they would
go out of
their way to beat me.
To beat you down. Yeah.
Exactly.
They want to beat you down to keep you down there.
Exactly. And then came the day where that's just not going to work anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in terms of like Bill and Potter, and Reset, all water under the bridge. We have a great relationship. I actually just had some games with Bill yesterday. Great training partner, great dude, great host. Nothing but good things to say about him. Potter as well, and it's just a good thing, man, when you can bury the hatchet and kind of put things behind you. It hasn't been the case with everybody, but for the people that are still rolling with me and have accepted me, as a player, as a person,
right,
I'm forever grateful for that.
Definitely, especially past the persona now. It's like they really get to know you as a person. I feel like a lot of people, particularly the ones that probably still have a grudge against you, like they
well, like who do you think still has a grudge?
I mean,
we need to spice things up a little bit here.
I don't know, man. I mean, I can definitely mention some names, but there's one in particular that everybody knows comes to mind, and it's the match that we all want to see.
Oh gosh. The match that everybody wants to see.
Yeah,
Oh boy.
man. I mean, it's just two great players going at it. Come on, guys. Like, for the love of the game, everybody wants to see it. You both have a great amount of fans with each other. Personally, you know what I think too, Ken? In all honesty, if you two had met under different circumstances, none of this would have happened this way, the way it is now. Under different, because you guys would have gone along so well in a parallel universe. Now we're doing like some Marvel multiverse shit. Like, yeah, absolutely. I think you guys would have gone along just fine, man. It just sucks that that's just the way it plays out. But you know what, man? We're all human, and we're here to learn, and we're here to grow from each other. And at the end of the day, we are still in the same community, and it's all love, man. Like, yes, we are very passionate about the game and about the people that play this game, as well as our respective coasts and things like that. Of course, I'm the same way. But at the end of the day, like I said, we are human beings, and we all just want to have some good times and create some memories, and really just put our stamp in the FGC. I've always said Marvel 2 is the greatest fighting game. There isn't another one that comes close. I mean, the Holy Trinity was Marvel 2, Third Strike, CVS 2, in my opinion, right? Yeah. But Marvel 2 just really takes it a big step further. So
it really does, man. One of my biggest regrets from 2007 up to 2010 was not being able to compete at EVO.
Yeah.
That's a topic that's very controversial, man, and it irks a lot of people when the list of the greatest of all time is mentioned.
Yeah.
Because everyone goes by the EVO rankings. People that won EVO, or people that placed, or what is it, ECC, or what is it, on the break?
Yes.
The East Coast tournaments.
Yes.
I unfortunately didn't have the ability to attend any of these tournaments. There were a lot of things that were going on in my life career-wise. I still didn't know what I wanted to do. I was in between jobs. I didn't prioritize correctly to be able to attend these tournaments, and that's why I was never able to see where I stood. Even like in 2009, that would have been a great year to go and see where I stood amongst these guys, and unfortunately I wasn't able to do it.
Right.
So that will always be one of my biggest regrets. That being said, the greatest of all time list is something that I don't really talk about.
I was about to ask you the same thing.
Yeah. I don't really talk about.
Yeah, every time that it's kind of been mentioned to you, you usually just go like, oh, well, I really don't care about that list.
Yeah.
And it's fine. Like, you have your stance on it because you're still just trying to push the game, and you're still trying to be the best player that you can be. Regardless of whatever list, wherever the chips may fall. I'd hate for it to be like a popularity contest, and it shouldn't be, right?
As a wise man once said, they're making this a popularity contest, which is they're doing.
Yeah.
So they're gonna get.
Yeah, man. So like, just the way that you've approached the game, and you've inspired a lot of players. That's just the fact of the matter. But yeah, I mean, your opinion on that list was just like, you don't really care.
I don't really care, man. It used to be, because remember, Chaotic 1, the person that I was back then, cared a lot about that. I wanted to push my way into those talks by force.
Right.
If you weren't talking about me, I was going to try and figure out a way for you to notice, or you to try to get you to acknowledge. Yeah, simple as that. Acknowledge me.
You want to be acknowledged.
Acknowledge me. I'm here. I'm doing this. Yeah. I beat this guy. I'm in there.
Yeah.
I'm in there. And people didn't want to. They didn't want that. The players that I mentioned before, they didn't want to see me rise to the top.
Yeah.
And I could have done it in a more humble way, but time was of the essence, man.
Yes.
The Marvel 2 was already on its final legs.
Yes.
Come 2009, 2010, it was already too late.
Yeah.
So when I missed my opportunity to go to these tournaments, it was already done.
Yeah.
That's why everything that I did for the last 10 years, some people acknowledge it and some don't. All of the tournaments that I won, all the side tournaments, all of the big first to 10s, first to 15s that I won,
yeah,
a lot of people are quick to dismiss because it wasn't under the umbrella of
Right.
evolution.
I've always hated that personally. I'll speak to that because the thing about this is that it's just you are being subjective. It is subjective to your opinion on what you think. Oh, he didn't play during the prime time years. Okay, well, whatever. Like, he didn't play during that time. To see where you've gone now with the game and where you've pushed like the boundaries of your characters to, I mean, it's going to be difficult to say like, oh yeah, you could definitely beat so and so and so and so. It's like, we'll never know, right? We'll just never know. It's just That's just the fact of the matter. You'll never know.
Yeah.
So you can say that they would beat you, or you could say that you would beat them, but there's no way of really knowing. We can't go back in time.
There is a way.
How?
Okay. There is a way. Thankfully, and I'm so blessed and I'm so grateful to know that there is a way to know that. And we've already experienced it. And that's through Duck Vader. Duck, former Evo champion, who came back after I don't know how many years hiatus and played with us consistently.
Yes.
Continuously. Not just against me or against guys like Ray, but Pasadena, all of the other small cliques that we have in the local area. He'd go to the sessions. And he's the only OG to come back and play with us consistently and still demolish everybody except for me.
Yeah.
Mind you, we've exchanged sets, right?
Right.
But me being able to beat him is a testament to, yes, I can hang with the old style. This is a guy that's already acclimated to the new meta, the new style that's different now from the way it was back then.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little bit more unorganized, a little bit more mashy style now, I guess, if you want to say it.
Yeah.
He was able to get used to that and demolish everybody else. Still.
Yeah.
Pasadena can't beat him. Servbot can't beat him.
Yeah.
Right?
This just speaks volumes about how.
But him and I can beat him, and he can beat me as well on a good day.
Yeah.
But for me to be able to beat him after he's already been gotten used to our style and everything nowadays.
Yeah.
That just goes to show that any old player can come back and get used to it again.
Yeah.
This is not professional sports where he's too old, he's too. No, if you want to do it, you can come back and do it. Bill Wellman is another player that's come back, and he's stronger than ever now.
Yeah, prime example.
Prime example. If you want to come back and prove a point, you can do it.
Yeah.
A lot of people that like to hold on to he wasn't around. I wonder what it would have been like for him to play prime so and so. Dude, you can talk to them and say, hey man, why don't you get back in shape and play him and see what happens.
Yeah. A lot of people just don't have the fire.
They just don't have the fire. And you know what? That's not my problem.
Right.
That's not my problem. That's theirs.
Yep.
And they're quick to say, well, where were you? You know what? I wasn't there back then, but guess what? I'm here now.
It's the same people that are ready to discredit you at any point in time. At any chance that they get to try to discredit you, they will.
Absolutely,
and it speaks about them, their own character. It's what they feel about themselves, and they're projecting this now.
And just like I said, I wasn't under the right situation to be able to be readily available to participate back then.
Yeah.
That's just what it was. And I'm in a much better place now, the past 10 years, to be able to be more able to participate.
Right.
And people will say, well, that's not our problem that you weren't there back then. I know, but I'm just trying to make do with what I can do now.
Yeah. You cannot go back and change things, right?
Exactly.
There's nothing you can do about that. The only thing
you can
do is just...
And I think it's a pride thing. A lot of these guys don't want to come back, and dude, I have these dirtbags that will get a false, not a false, but they'll get like an alternate account, like on Xbox Live or PSN, and just because they don't want to be recognized, you know, they'll take a loss against somebody random. Nobody wants to hear, I heard so and so beat you online.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's ego, man. You know as better than I do that there's ego in this game.
Yeah. I mean, it's I just feel like this game brings it out, exposes it more. Like if you have an ego, if you have some sort of pride
for sure.
issue.
For sure. If you're a very competitive player, and I'm very competitive. That's why I get so frustrated when I play anything else, like Ultra Street Fighter 4 or Street Fighter 5. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. I'm so used to just imposing my will on people.
Right.
In Marvel 2 that I can't do it.
Right.
In any other game.
We've talked about this at length because we play a little bit of Street Fighter 4 together.
Yeah.
And I've always told you have the combos there. It's just having the patience to not wait for your opportunity, let's say, but also just being able to recognize when that opportunity is going to bring itself up. Because, Street Fighter in general is a lot slower paced game, and you can impose your will. It just happens in a different way than what Marvel 2 is. But it's just a different flavor of fighting game. But I do feel like if you were to delve deeper into Street Fighter, I think it may help your Marvel 2 game as well.
I think it has, to be honest.
And I know, I've seen that it has.
Yeah, the time that I've spent in Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 5, I feel like it has helped.
Yeah.
Another thing that's helped is switching teams. Nowadays, I'm picking Sentinelstorm Cyclops.
Team Matrix.
Yeah, shout out to Chris and shout outs to Justin Wong.
Yes.
Because it's like the Sentinel scenario all over again. I would think to myself, I'm never going to pick this team. I cannot stand a team like this. And now I prefer it over MSS.
I've seen that. It's been like, I can totally see how addicting that team has been for you.
It has been. Yeah, it definitely has been. And that's why I'm a firm believer that with this game, the learning never stops.
Yeah.
Even to this day, there are things that I'm still figuring out to this day, 22 years later after the game had been released, that I'm still able to showcase. And thankfully now I have the opportunity to do it in other avenues. Like the YouTube channel is popping up again. I'll if you guys aren't following, I'd appreciate a follow on the YouTube channel. I'm also putting out videos on Twitch every once in a while, and just different ways to get that content out to you guys.
Yeah. I mean, some of the stuff that you've done you've put on YouTube recently, it's pretty hot, man.
Pretty useless too.
Pretty useless, but it is hot when you see it. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is
I didn't know that worked.
Yeah,
a lot of people. I've heard that so many times over the years. I didn't know you could do that, and I'd always say, I thought you knew. I thought you knew that worked. What are you talking about? Oh man. Hey, going back to that greatest of all time list. The people that say that it's too late, to have these matches against the legends, I've pretty much had them all.
Yeah.
Except for one.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, that the match can't happen from a professional standpoint.
Yeah, man,
from really a personal standpoint, it's irrelevant to me now because the only thing that I'm missing out on is just another learning opportunity.
Right.
Win or lose, I'd take something away from that match and I'd be able to implement it to my gameplay.
Yeah. And that says a lot. You say that.
Yeah.
Like, win or lose it, it's just you're gonna learn something.
Yeah.
And I feel like you both learn a lot about each other in that sense. But I do think it's unfortunate, man. I just think, well, we all have our own lives to deal with, and we all have our own issues and things like that.
Yeah, man.
At the end of the day,
and we all deal with it in our own way. Some people do it head on,
man.
And some people just run away.
Yeah.
They run away consistently because that's the only way they can handle it, and it's a shame. But you know what? Like you said, we all have our own lives, and that's it, man.
To each their own.
Each their own, brother.
Yeah, it's but yeah, I mean, I'm sure I speak for most of the community. We all wanted to see it, and it's. I know it could have happened, under the right circumstances. But I'm not giving out hope either. Or giving up hope, I should say.
Let's not hold our breath on that.
But I'm not going to hold my breath either.
Dude, but going back to just being able to, though, one of the things that kind of still trips me out is being able to say that I faced Justin Wong or that I faced Duck Vader or Sanford or even Sue Mighty. To be able to say that I shared a cabinet with these guys it's crazy.
Yeah.
Because these guys are definitely journeymen that have seen it all, that have done it all. Yeah. And for me to be able to share space with them and run these sets at a time where I thought, man, I'm never going to be able to catch up to these guys. I remember clearly telling Carlos that at the arcade, at the Montebello Mall, that hole-in-the-wall arcade, telling him, watching, YouTube 144p videos on our freaking on our Droid 1.0, thinking I'm never going to be able to beat these guys.
Yeah.
To holding sets. So now holding sets over them.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
It's an incredible journey that you've actually
It's crazy.
done, man.
And another thing is how far this content has spread. I did a list the other day of countries that I'm known in.
You brought up New Zealand the other day.
New Zealand. So far, just so you guys know how far the Chaos moniker has reached, we have New Zealand, we have Mexico, we have
shout out to Mexico, bro.
Peru, we have Bolivia. I just found out the other day.
Bolivia,
yeah.
Oh man.
We have Canada. We have at least one person in Germany.
I never would have thought Germany, to be honest.
Germany, yeah. We have the Philippines.
The Philippines is
the Philippines is another hotspot.
It is a very big hotspot for Marvel. Funny enough, should mention that the very first person that introduced me to Marvel 2 was one of my good friends from middle school. Shout outs to Roy Santana. He introduced me into Marvel 2.
Okay.
Back in like 2000. I mean, I was, a young kid. His older brother was really good at like Magneto combos or just combos in general. I mean, the guy was a machine. Like, he was consistently hitting combos, and I remember thinking, I was like, man, I hope one day I can be able to do this too, because it was hard. He would try to teach me certain combos, and I would get some of the easier ones, but one of the harder ones was Hypergraph Tempest. But I was playing on pad at the time.
Okay.
So I just couldn't do it with pad. Like,
I don't know how people do it, man. Yo, shout outs to Thrilla for being able to be a pad monster, bro. I don't know how you do it.
Yeah.
Daryl World Match You on the Xbox controller.
Daryl,
guys,
man. How he's able to do the unblockable.
I don't know how he does it with those freaking Bigfoot fingers of his. It's Bigfoot.
Shout outs to a goofy movie, man.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, dude, like, I don't understand how you guys bust combos in there, especially some of the more difficult ones that require more dexterity.
Yeah.
How do you guys play it on the pad? Oh, the other thing too was I personally couldn't play on an American stick. Like, it always felt weird to me.
Oh yeah.
I felt like once the TE stick had come out and you even got like a stiffer spring on the TE stick, it just felt like butter. I was like, This is amazing. Like, the buttons are like well spaced, and like it just feels very responsive to me. I felt like the other ones were just always like, I don't know, the buttons didn't feel good, the input was a little bit delayed, and then just the way the bat style stick. But I mean, that's what most of the arcades were, like, they're American style sticks.
Yeah.
So, shout out to the arcade warriors, because they were able to bust out their combos. I always felt like handicapped when I was.
Dude, on a side note, they're super expensive now.
What, the Moss sticks?
Yeah.
Really?
Or just the opticals in general.
Oh,
like
yeah.
the 360s, the perfect 360s, or the good quality material
still,
that you want to get.
Still,
okay,
where can you actually?
It's all private party sales.
That's what I figured.
It's all private party sales. The good quality parts that you want to get. But I've seen them go up. My friend Daniel showed me the other day. They're going up for just the parts alone. It's like $300.
Wow.
Back when you could buy a full stick set for like what, $150 or something like that.
You could even get it like on Craigslist for like $100.
It's crazy, man.
And just swap out the parts yourself.
Going back to the countries, man. To be known in 9 countries That's pretty surreal, man. Even if it's just one person, like just to know that it's extended that far to where somebody out there in another country has said, "Hey, have you seen the new Chaos video?" or something like that. It's just it blows my mind.
That's mind blowing. Yeah, man, for sure.
It is, and it all started at that little arcade in Montebello, and it's turned into this big. You know, for me to be able to want to do this with you,
yeah,
and talk about this, and we have so many stories to tell and so much lore to kind of share with the community. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I think this podcast, I feel like we could really give a lot of people just great stories, and I feel there's like just so much lore that is untapped that people have like they just have these personal stories, but you don't really hear about them.
Right.
You know, but there's just so much to say. Like, you know, we would want to like have guests, you know, and come in and tell their story. And I don't want these to be lost, is what I'm trying to say, you know, to time, you know, like you'll never hear about them again, you know? So I
Absolutely,
want those stories
guys.
to be told and to be recorded so that we can listen to it and you can have future generations, because once we're gone, guys, like
That's it, man.
that's it. You have to make it count while we're here.
That's it. And Ivan really nailed it on the head with what we want to do moving forward. And that's get other people on here to tell their tale.
Yeah.
There's a lot that I want to know personally about Southern Hills Golfland or these other places where people were leveling up.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that were part of the hyper fighting community or the super turbo community before they got into Marvel 2.
SC, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm hoping to get them on here to kind of give us their side of the story and see what they saw, because we missed a lot.
Yes.
In the golden era of Marvel.
We did.
So that's something to look forward to. I do want to talk about my greatest opponents and the things that led up to my money matches with these guys.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about my losses and wins against Justin Wong. That's something that's a lot of people don't know about the backstory on that. Yeah. And there's just so much to talk about, guys. I do want to get your input on what you thought of this, and what topics you'd like us to cover in the upcoming weeks. And if it's something that you want me to keep doing, we'll keep doing it.
Absolutely. Feel free to give us your suggestions, guys, and your honest feedback. I mean, criticisms, feedback, whatever the case may be, it's very helpful, and it's going to really help us bring you better content going forward. So.
Absolutely. And all I want to do is give back to the community that's given so much to me.
Yes.
So many memories, so many good times, so many laughs.
Absolutely.
So many rivalries. That's another topic of discussion.
Yeah.
And I can say that the person that I am is due in part to this game.
Yeah.
Both the good and the bad. There are a lot of qualities that, for myself, in terms of self-esteem and confidence, that just went through the roof because of this game, because of the Chaos persona.
Yeah.
And I was able to burst through those ceilings because of this game. Shout outs to you guys. Shout outs to the content creators that are still working hard day in and day out to give you content. Guys like Romnito from New York, he's still grinding, putting out content. He's got a good project coming up for you guys.
Yeah, I was very... it sucked. He actually had reached out to me. Brett had reached out to me regarding that documentary, and I couldn't make it just because of like my work constraints. Yeah. But you know, shout outs to Brett. He's working on it, and he's
got some good stuff in the works, man.
Yeah, fantastic job, and obviously his channel has been doing really well. He always posts new content, so shout outs to him. You know?
Absolutely, any content that we can get is greatly appreciated, and I think this past year alone, we've seen so many people jump on the scene, on the Twitch scene, YouTube.
Yeah.
You have guys like Roundhouse providing constant entertainment, constant content for us. Thrilla, Lockdown has been
shout outs to Lockdown.
Dude, Lockdown's been putting in some work, man, with the Marvel 2 awards. I didn't even know if it was a thing.
Yeah.
He did like an MVC 2 awards ceremony with
Super
Nick Kai.
Cool. Yeah.
Like, what is this?
Yeah, Locke was one of the just a quick snippet here. Locke was one of the few guys that I really got along with, and during one of my trips to SD with my girlfriend at the time, he invited me to his place, and man, we had a fucking good crack session. And mind you, I was with my girlfriend. She was cool, you know. And she was able to like understand, like, oh, okay, you want to run some games, and like, you know, with one of our good friends. I'm like, yeah, absolutely, you know. And probably if I didn't have any more plans with her, I probably would have just stayed there. Would have cracked it out. Shout out to Locke, man.
Priorities, man. That's what I'm saying, bro.
I'm telling you.
Who else? The East Coast guys, Jason G-Con, he's putting out some good content. He has been putting out tutorials as well. If you guys have a chance, go check out his channel. Chris Matrix is putting on streams also. Josh Wigfall. Who else am I forgetting? Ruin in Vegas.
Ruin.
That guy's doing he's doing the Lord's work with his channel over there.
Yeah, he has a good YouTube channel. So
yeah,
follow him.
Shout outs to those guys. Even the people that are still coming up, like Turtle Power.
Yeah.
Anybody else, your work is not going unnoticed. We appreciate it. Keep it going, because any Marvel content is good content.
Yep.
And we appreciate it, guys. Aside from that, like I said, give us your feedback. Give us what topics that you want to see, questions, anything that you want us to cover, and we'll knock it out like we always do.
Yes, sir.
Aside from that, any final comments?
Just shout out to the SoCal MVC2 scene. Shout out to all you guys, man. Like, you guys have always showed me a lot of love. And hold it down for you. Alex's Arcade. Y'all know you guys are my.
Oh yeah, Alex's Arcade.
Yeah, you guys are my family there. So yeah, that's where I always stood. Shout outs to Dewey, Andy, Oscar, obviously Kala, and you had Kuma. And that's actually where I met Ray for the first time. So shout outs again to Ray. Oh yeah, man. Really. Ray's always been.
I do want to get Ray on here. Ray's one guy that
we will definitely chop it up with
Ray.
Ray.
We got the seat warm for you right here, buddy. Yay!
Yeah, man. Ray.
So much coming up, guys. If you guys enjoyed it, we're gonna keep it going. Other than that, I do want to issue a closing statement. I appreciate every single one of you that have given me both the good and the bad over the past 10 years. It's made me a better person, and you haven't seen anything yet. We're gonna keep it going. And as far as competition, I'm still waiting for somebody to knock me off the top of the mountain, guys. Still waiting.
Yeah.
So if nobody wants to, then I'll stick to. I guess I'll do commentary or something.
Yeah.
I'll still work on that.
It's always something to work on, guys.
Yeah, definitely. All right, guys. So this is Khaos, and this is Ivan Kinetic. And we are signing off. We'll catch you guys next time.
Yeah, let's have a good one, man. And MVC2 will never die, bro. Let's keep it going.
Never. All right, guys. Peace out.
Later.